There is a predator asleep in your house. 42 teeth. A jaw built to crack open bone and strip a carcass down to nothing. The same animal, out in the world, will not come within sight of a person if it can help it, and if you backed one into a corner, it would go through your arm. You let this one sleep on the bed. We built it. Out of wolves. And here is the part that should stop you dead. We did it before bread. Not before sliced bread, before the whole idea of it back when nobody on earth had yet put a seed in the ground on purpose and waited to see what came up. We were still walking after herds, we still slept in the open with nothing spare to give anybody. And somehow, in the middle of that, we took the most dangerous animal in the landscape and turned it into the thing that waits by the door for the sound of us coming home. The dog is older than agriculture. It is the first living creature we ever reshaped into something new, and we did it at the exact point in our history when we had the least to work with. So how do you build a dog when you have no fences, no leash, no spare food, and no idea what a dog even is? All you have is a fire and a pile of bones you have already chewed. It turns out that is enough. We did it in 2 goes, and I will give you both of them right now, because you are going to watch them happen. The first one was a rubbish heap. A pile of cracked bones behind a camp sitting out in the cold, quietly deciding which wolves got to eat and which ones did not. It ran for thousands of years and nobody who fed it ever knew what it was doing. The second one was a face. The heap and then the face. Remember those two. Everything that follows is one or the other. So go back. Past the farms, past the villages, past the fields, to a winter with none of that in it. It is the end of the last ice age. There are no towns anywhere on Earth. Your whole world is 30 people, 1 fire, and whatever you can carry on your back. And out past the light, where the ground goes black, something is watching you. It has been out there 3 nights. It does not come closer, and it does not leave. You have made a kill that day. The good meat is already gone, eaten within hours because there is no way to keep it. What is left is the part nobody wants. Cracked bones, guts, scraps of hide, marrow nobody could reach. You carry it 20 paces behind the camp and drop it. Every camp that has ever existed has thrown something out the back. To you, that heap is rubbish. To the thing in the dark, it is the easiest meal for 100 miles because it is already dead and it does not fight back. Now here is the only thing that matters in this whole story. To eat from that heap, a wolf has to do something almost no wolf can do. It has to walk towards people. Almost none of them will. The fear is enormous and the fear is correct because we kill wolves and they know it. Most of the pack will sit out in the dark, hungry, watching the shapes move around the fire and come no closer. But a pack is not one animal. In every group, there are a few sitting at the edge of what is normal, a little bolder, a little slower to run. One of them comes in at night when the camp is quiet. Nothing happens to it. It eats. That is the whole machine. A wolf that eats through a hard winter lives to have puppies in the spring. A wolf that sits in the dark being careful does not. Nobody caught a cub. Nobody built a pen. We built something with far more force in it than a pen, and we built it out of the one thing we always had too much of, which is waste. That heap asked every wolf in the landscape the same question, in the same place every night, for thousands of years. Come closer and eat. Stay away and starve. That is a breeding program. It just was not written down. 10 steps nearer over 100 lifetimes. Then the tree line. Then the edge of the firelight. Then a shape lying down in the warm ash on the far side of the fire, and nobody throwing anything at it. We were not feeding wolves. We were selecting them, which is the point where you are probably asking the obvious question. Why not just steal a cub? Because it does not work. It has never worked, and people have tried it in every century since. Take a wolf as a tiny cub before its eyes are open. Raise it by hand every hour for a year. Sleep beside it. Feed it out of your own hands. At the end of that year, you will have an animal that knows your smell and comes when you call it, and you will not have a dog. It will still stand over its food and warn you off it. It will still test you as it grows, quietly, week by week, because that is what a wolf is. And a year of kindness does not reach the part of it that decides. You cannot love a wolf into a dog. You can only outlast it. So whatever happened at that rubbish heap did not happen to any one animal. It happened to the whole population across thousands of years, and by the end, the thing sitting at the edge of the firelight was not quite a wolf anymore. But a rubbish heap can only ever do one thing. It can make an animal brave. It cannot make an animal care. For that, somebody has to start choosing. And the first hard proof we have that somebody did is lying on a hillside above the Rhine, at a place we now call Bonn Oberkassel in the cold, about 14,000 years ago. Two people are being buried. A man of about 40, a woman of about 25, laid in the ground together and covered over with slabs of stone. And someone puts a dog in with them. Not at the edge of the grave, not outside it. In it. The dog is young. About 7 months old, barely more than a puppy. And it had been very sick. It caught distemper, and the fever burned its marks into the enamel of its teeth while they were still growing, in bands, the way a bad winter shows up in the rings of a tree. Distemper is not a mild thing. A puppy with it runs a fever hot enough to cook it from the inside. Its eyes crust shut. Its nose runs and then hardens over. The pads of its feet go thick and split. Then come the fits, the whole body seizing and letting go, and after that the back legs stop working and it lies wherever you put it. It did not die. You can count the bands in that enamel and see that it went through the whole thing not once but 2 or 3 times, over about a month, in the middle of an ice age. Now work out what that month cost somebody. A puppy that cannot stand, cannot drink. So somebody lifted its head and got water into it, a mouthful at a time, several times a day, for weeks. Somebody cleaned it, because an animal having fits does not stay clean. Somebody kept it off the frozen ground and out of the wind and next to the fire, which means giving a place at the fire to an animal instead of to a person. And when the camp moved, and the camp always had to move, somebody picked up a thing that could not walk and carried it. Think about what that dog was worth while all of this was going on. It could not hunt. It could not guard anything or pull anything or find anything. To 30 people scraping through an ice age winter with nothing spare, it was a mouth that took food and water and warmth and gave back absolutely nothing. They kept it alive anyway. And it died young in the end regardless. And when it did, they did not leave it on the ground behind them. They dug a grave for their own 2 dead, and they put the dog in it, and they closed it over. Before farming, before writing, before a single brick had been laid anywhere on earth, that is not a working animal. That is somebody's dog. By the time that grave was dug, the second half was already running, and the second half is ours. Nobody drew up a breed. What there was instead was hands, an enormous number of hands, reaching out across an enormous number of winters. So picture one of those hands. It is winter. There are 2 young animals hanging around the back of the camp, both of them born out there, both of them half wild, and there is 1 scrap of meat left over, and it is not enough for 2. The first one holds back. It waits until you have turned away, then takes the scrap and carries it off into the dark to eat where you cannot see it. That is the correct behavior. That is what its mother did, and every animal in that line before her. The second one does something different. It comes in while you are still standing there. It stops a few feet short, and it stands in the cold with its ears half down and looks up at your face and waits. You are not conducting anything. You are cold and tired, and you want to sit down, but something in you registers that look, and your arm goes out, and the meat goes to the one that waited. You have just chosen. You would not call it that. And you will do it again next winter, and so will everyone else at that fire, and so will their children in every camp on earth for thousands of years. And about 2,000 years after that grave above the Rhine was closed, at a place called Ein Malaha, in what is now northern Israel, somebody was laid in the ground on their side, and their hand was not folded in against the chest the way you would expect to find it. It was stretched out, away from the body, and it was resting on a puppy. Whoever arranged that grave did not simply put the 2 of them in the same hole and cover them over. They put the hand where it would be found. That is what all those small, cold decisions add up to, given enough winters. And out of everything we could have picked, we kept picking the same thing. We chose the ones that looked at us. That sounds soft. It is not. You can prove it tonight, on the floor of your own kitchen with 2 cups. Put food under one of them. Say nothing. Point at the right cup. A dog that has never been trained in its life will follow your finger and go to that cup. A puppy will do it at a few weeks old, before anyone has taught it anything at all. Now run it again with a wolf cub. Same room, same people, fed by the same hands. It looks at your hand, not where you are pointing, at your hand. The finger is just a finger to it. It has no idea that you are trying to tell it something because the idea that a human might be trying to tell it something is not in there, and that is only the easy version of the test. There is a second one, and it is worse, and you can run it in the same kitchen. Take something the dog wants, a piece of meat. Put it in a box with a lid on it, let the dog watch you do it, and push the box across the floor. At first, it does exactly what any animal would do, which is to go at the thing directly. It shoves the box with its nose, then gets a paw over the edge and drags, then works its teeth around the rim and pulls until the whole box is sliding across the floor with it. And then, when the lid will not come off, it stops. And it turns round and looks at your face. Watch where the animal goes when it runs out of road. Not back to the box, and not away from it either. It comes to you, and what it comes to is your face. Because somewhere a long way back it worked out that when a problem stops being solvable, the answer is in there. Now put a wolf in that room with that box. It does not stop, and it does not turn round. It stays on the problem longer than the dog did, and it goes at it harder, and it is still going long after the dog gave up, and in all that time it does not check, even once, what you think about any of it. The dog gave up. That is the honest word. It gave up on doing things alone thousands of years ago and started doing them by asking. So none of this is a trick a dog picks up from us. A dog is born reading human hands and human faces, and no other animal on Earth reads us like that, including the animal it is made of. And that is the animal we made. Not a wolf that puts up with us, but a wolf that cannot finish anything without looking at us first. But watching us is only half of what we picked, because a rubbish heap can change what an animal does. Hands can do something a heap never could. Hands can reach into the body, put the head of a wolf and the head of a dog side by side and take the skin off above the eye, and they are almost the same animal. Same bone, same hinge in the jaw, same everything right up until you reach a patch about the width of a fingernail above the inner corner of the eye. In the dog, there is a muscle sitting there, a small, separate working muscle with its own grip on the bone, and it has exactly one job. It pulls the inner eyebrow up. The eye opens rounder. The forehead creases. And the whole face slides into that expression anybody who has eaten a meal in front of a dog can picture without being told. In the wolf, there is nothing there worth the name. Not a weaker version of the same muscle, and not a smaller one either. Just a few loose fibers lying in roughly the same place with nothing joined up and nothing to pull against. And when a person walks into the room, dogs pull that eyebrow more often and pull it harder than wolves ever do. The full version of it, the whole face, has only ever been seen on a dog. Now work out what has to be true for that to be the case. That expression does two things to us at once. It makes a grown dog's face look like a puppy's, and it lands on us almost exactly like the face a person makes just before they cry. Something very old in us answers it before we have decided anything, and we get no say in the matter whatsoever. So around every fire, in every camp, for thousands of years, the dogs that could pull that face got fed first. They got let in closer to the warmth. They got carried when they were sick. And they had more puppies than the ones that could not. We were not trying to build a muscle. We built one anyway. It is not a trick they learned, and it is not training. It is bone and tissue, grown somewhere back there in the cold, for no reason other than that it worked on us. And we took things off it as well, because that is what building something means. You do not only set a dog's skull beside a wolf's of the same size. The brain case is smaller, and not by a little, and the teeth are shorter, and the jaw behind them shuts with less force. Somewhere in all that choosing, we quietly took the edge off the animal, because we were the edge now, and it did not need one of its own. And we left it stuck halfway. A wolf grows up and mostly falls silent, but a grown dog never does. It barks all its life at nothing, and it plays at 10 years old the way a cub plays, and it rolls over, and it carries things to you that it has no reason to carry to you. Those are puppy behaviors, and we kept picking the animals that never came out of them, so it never comes out of them. Put a dog back out in the landscape it came from on its own, and it does not turn into a wolf again. It goes hungry. It ends up hanging around the edge of whatever camp it can find, waiting for somebody to throw something out, which is precisely where we found it. That is not a damaged wolf. That is a finished thing. We took an animal that could live without us and we built one that cannot, which is the most complete proof there is that we built it at all. So, how did humans invent dogs? The heap and then the face. First, we built the thing that did the sorting, and we built it out of everything we could not eat. Come close and eat. Stay away and starve. Every night in every camp on Earth for thousands of years, and no cage anyone has ever built has done work like it. Then we took the job off the heap and did it with our own hands. We fed the ones that watched us. We let the others go back to the trees. We sat up through an ice age winter with a puppy that could not stand, and we carried it. And when it died, we put it in the ground with our own dead on a hillside above the Rhine. And that second half did not go for the teeth, and it did not go for the size. It went for the face. Right now, in your house, there is a predator asleep. 42 teeth. A jaw that can open a bone. It has our rubbish in its ancestry and our faces in its head, and a muscle above its eye that exists for one reason only, which is that we kept choosing the ones who used it. Say its name, and watch what happens. The head comes up, the eyebrows go. It looks straight at you. We made that. Not by accident. By reaching out thousands of times, over thousands of years, to the ones who did it back. There is a predator asleep in your house, and it was built from the first bone we ever threw away to look back.